We're going to talk about the color wheel now. There's a couple of things I need to say before we get started. First, the color wheel is not for all artists. I say that because there are basically two types of art: left brain art, right brain art, and the varying degrees in between. Nobody can be purely left brain and nobody can be purely right brain. But when you look at a work of art, no matter what school, what movement, or what period, it's always going to have some left brain with a little bit of right brain, or right brain with a little bit of left brain in it. Now, I say this because the color wheel is strongly left brain. It was conceived of by one of the greatest scientific minds that's ever existed on this earth, Sir Isaac Newton. He was not an artist. He was a scientist. And as you go along with this concept of the color wheel, you find that most people who elaborated on it, modified it, added to it, were scientists, not artists. So with that in mind, and now this is not derogatory towards left brain people. Left brain artists, they make fine art. Right brain artists, they make fine art. It's just that you have to realize where you're coming from when you're dealing with a color wheel or any other theory on art and how to mix colors. So we'll start with that. And understand also there's many different types of color wheels. There's some that are tiered and really, really far left-brained. But I'm only going to talk about the one that you most commonly see, and it's the most popular right now. So we'll start with that, and we'll talk about some of the concepts of this. Of course, they have all the primary and the secondary colors listed on here. Now, when I spoke to you earlier about the pyramid, which is a little more right-brained than this thing is, it also had all the complementary, secondary, and all these other concepts associated with the color theory. Now, what we're dealing with here is what they call, in a lot of terms, subtractive colors. And then you have the transmitted light, which is additive colors. I prefer to use transmitted light and reflected light. This is all about reflected light. We'll go over some of the terms here that they use about tint, tone, and value. You know, it's hard for my right brain to relate to those things, but nonetheless, this thing has values, and you should take a look at it sometimes, and learn what is on here. Like adding white makes tint, adding black makes orange. And by the way, watercolorists don't use a lot of black when they mix their paints. They use the complement, which comes into the next thing. You turn this thing over, and it's got a lot of left brain stuff on it, about triads, analogous, complementary, which is a common term, like split complementary, and they start breaking this thing down to a lot, and they mix the colors on the back side of this with the complementary colors, and they add names and tags to it as to what it is. The tint, which we talked about, the shade, and the tone. Well, that's nice, but what they don't tell you is what color of white, or what type of white, are you mixing with? Titanium, zinc, lead? What type of black are you mixing with it? They've arbitrarily chose this and decided to make it as a standard. It is not. You need to use this as you see fit. If you find that you are strongly to the left and in your thought processes on art, and usually that's commercial artists, people who do cartoons, make posters and things like that, and that's not bad, that's good. This is a good thing. If you're a representative artist, it's probably not going to be very useful to you. I mean, they use terms like you put two colors together and they vibrate, or this color makes this color pop out, or this color makes this really juicy. Well, to a portrait artist, that's meaningless. So, you know, you have to think about, really, do you want to use this or not? Go back, look at the triangle and how to mix colors. Another thing, Sir Isaac Newton was born in 1643, or thereabouts, pretty close. The Renaissance was way before that. Look at the paintings, the colors, the mixtures, the people who did it. They didn't have a color wheel. They used something else different. There were people, guilds, and they were called colormen. And they made colors, hues, and these artists went to them and they said, okay, I need this color. And some of the artists mixed their own. There is an equivalent of that today. Our color manufacturers, the people who make paints, make color charts. Very good. Fantastic. And I want to show you a couple. Here's one for watercolors. Look at the beautiful colors that are in here. All of them. For us right-brained artists, all we need to do is compare them. Mix a little bit of white, mix a little bit of complementary, mix a little bit of black, whatever we want, and we can get beautiful colors out of what the manufacturer's already told us. Go to them, ask for it. Another thing, tremendous amount of information can be obtained from a manufacturer's color chart. I particularly like this one. All the colors that you can think of that this manufacturer makes. You've got to pick your own manufacturer, one that you really like, or a combination of them. They're going to tell you everything there is to say about the colors that they make. They're going to give you things that are really unbelievable. You know, let me quote to you here, just one of the things here. It says, look for relative opacity and transparency. Each color on the chart is noted with an O for opaque, TL translucent, or TS transparent. Subpigments are rock solid, like the cadmiums, and allow little or no light to pass through. These make a naturally opaque cover. Some are stained glass, like the thalassites. Take on gleaming and jewel-like colors. World of help to you. Go to them. These are the modern day colormen. You don't need the wheel. You can figure it out for yourself. If you're a right-brain artist. If you're not, use the wheel. Enjoy yourself.